Here's a set of videos to help you through one-point perspective. You can download the worksheets from Google Classroom. You can pick up the worksheets from the high school, or you can just look at the instructions on Classroom and then use blank paper. If you want feedback on your drawings or if you have questions, you can email me at ruth.nielsen@hpstigers.org. If you are in Ms. Schlickman's art class, you can email shelby.schlickman@hpstigers.org. If you want to take a photo with your phone and send that to me of your work, if you've got questions and want me to take a look at it, give you any feedback on it, you can do that. If I get a lot of questions on anything we're doing in the next couple weeks, we can maybe set up a chat or a Zoom. We'll sort of play it by ear, depending on how much support you want in doing this online thing. Anyway, here they are, one-point perspective. Before you start, let's establish a horizon. This is easiest by measuring up from the bottom on both sides so you have a nice parallel horizon line. Now that you have a horizon, place your vanishing point. I'm going to go ahead and label some of these things. You don't need to add the labeling. Now we'll do our 3 boxes. I want to make sure I have nice vertical lines, that they're straight, that they're perpendicular to the horizon. And I'm just going to use my ruler to choose the width of the 3 boxes. Then I'll measure. I'm making these boxes about 1 inch wide a piece, or 1 inch tall a piece. And then make sure that your ruler, again, is horizontal, that is parallel to your horizon, to draw the tops and bottoms of each of the boxes. Okay, just darken my edges of the boxes so I know where they are. And then I'll add my receding horizontals. I'm going to go ahead and label these. Worm's eye view, which is we're looking up at it like a worm on the ground. Eye level, where it's right on the horizon, in line with the horizon. And bird's eye view, where we're looking down on it like a bird in the sky looking down. Now we'll draw our receding horizontals. Remember, from every visible corner, we draw a receding horizontal that leads to the vanishing point. All of our receding horizontals lead to the same vanishing point. Okay, now I'm going to do the receding horizontals from the other corner. And remember, there's some overlapping happening here. So if I get to a point where another object is going to obscure my view, I'm not going to continue that line. Notice on this one, my receding horizontal kind of lines up with the other one. Okay, now I'm going to truncate these or turn them into cubes so they don't go all the way to the vanishing point. I'm just going to pick a spot, make a nice vertical line. Make sure those verticals are parallel. And I'm going to make them 3 different sizes. And then erase the receding horizontals that I don't need anymore. Then my last step is to draw horizontal lines that touch that outer corner and finish off my cubes. Erase any unnecessary lines. And you've got 3 cubes in 1 point perspective. And before we move on, just need to give a thank you to Teachers Pay Teachers and teacher Dawn Peterson for these worksheets. I think they'll be really useful in the upcoming lessons that we have for you. So thank you to Dawn. And now we can move on to the next project. All right, let's start on this next one by establishing our horizon. This is 1 point perspective letters. We want to make sure it's parallel, so we measure up from the bottom, nice straight line, place your vanishing point, and then up above the horizon we'll do the O, and down below the horizon the E. If you want to use your ruler on the E, you can. I'm just freehanding it. Okay, let's start on the O. We'll do our receding horizontals from the outermost edges of the O, so whatever pushes out the farthest or sticks out the farthest, that's what we want to use. Then we'll do an inner guide as well. Okay, and then I'm going to draw another O inside, and I'm doing it very lightly because I'm going to be erasing most of this. Okay, and then darken my edges that I'm going to keep. Erase all the extra stuff. And then all but a tiny bit is inside there. You can kind of see where there's the inside ring of the O. That's actually where that would show. So if you were looking through the O, that's all you'd see of that other side. It's kind of like a little tunnel, see? That's what we see. And then I erase everything I don't need. Okay. With E, we're just going to draw receding horizontals from every corner. Every visible corner, every visible receding horizontal. Remember, if it's going to be obscured by another part, just don't draw it. And anywhere that it overlaps, stop drawing. Okay, now I'm going to truncate the E. Truncate, just make it shorter, cut it off. Remember, I want nice vertical and horizontal lines. I want them parallel to the edges of my drawing area. And then erase any unused lines. Anything that doesn't show once I'm done, just get rid of it. three-dimensional O and a three-dimensional E in one-point perspective. All right, let's do shapes in one-point perspective. First, establish your horizon. Measure up from the bottom. So we have a nice parallel horizon. Pick a vanishing point. I'm going to do a star up above the horizon, and I'm just going to draw light guidelines first to kind of get the shape that I want. Make the changes I want to make. And outline it so it's a little darker. It's a nice thing about drawing lightly. You can make changes if you want to. You're not required to stick with your first attempt. Okay, I'm going to draw a heart here below the horizon. And I'm going to draw a pentagon. Kind of looks like a house maybe, right along the horizon. So our star is a worm's eye view. Our heart is a bird's eye view. And our house thing is eye level. Let's start with a star. So we're going to draw receding horizontals from every visible corner, even the inside corners. And do take the time to make sure you're really lined up with that vanishing point, because it can make a difference in how things end up. And if you're not sure if something's going to show or not, you can always draw it and then erase it later if you don't need it. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this. See, I think I will see a little bit of it. That one I won't see at all, so I'm not going to draw it. Okay, now what we want to do is lines that are parallel, to truncate this, lines that are parallel to our original line. So I kind of slide it down into place. And we'll do one at a time so they're touching where the corners meet up. And each time I'm going to slide it into place after lining up my ruler with the edge. If you can kind of see. So I'll slide it along until it meets up with that previous line. And then draw my new one. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase any unnecessary lines. If I see any mistakes, I'll go ahead and fix those. All right. I'm going to go ahead and add a little shading to my star here, just so it looks a little more three-dimensional. I'm not getting too carried away, but just enough to add some depth to it. Here's where my sun would be for the shading that I added. You can kind of see how the rays shine down on the right side and the underneath side or the left is obscured or darkened. All right, my heart. Again, I'm going to draw the line to the outermost edge of the heart. I'm going to do the inner corner. then I'm actually going to do some light guidelines across the run from the top of the heart to the vanishing point, and that just will help me draw those curves of the heart when I'm ready. So I'm going to kind of copy the existing curves from the first heart, kind of try and copy those curves. That one didn't quite go, maybe that's a little better. And erase everything I don't need. And then I'll add a little shading. I'll see where the sun is hitting and darken underneath that area just to give it a little dimension. Then I'll move on to my last shape, my pentagon, house, building, shed, tunnel, I don't know. We'll see what it is when it's done. Again, I draw the lines from the corners to the vanishing point. I'm going to truncate it, so I need parallel lines, parallel to my edges. Do the side first. On the top, remember to drag that ruler along so you see the and the same edge that's parallel. Okay, now you don't have to do this part, but if you want to add a little extra to this one, you could do an opening in it. So we're going to do our verticals for the opening, and then a horizontal line for the top of it. And then we would run that receding horizontal from the inside corner, so you can kind of see the floor and the edge there, and then we're going to shade in the edge and edge so it looks like it's inside. So now it looks kind of like an open building that you can walk into. And so there we have our shapes. Then we'll move on in a moment after I add a little more shading. Gotta have that shading. Alright, our last worksheet this week is a 1-point perspective room. First thing we're going to do is draw a light X through the drawing area, through the box. If you're using a blank piece of paper, just from the top corner to the opposite bottom corner. I'm doing this X so we can find the very center of our drawing area. And the center is going to be where the two lines intersect. And that's where we're going to put our vanishing point. Next thing we're going to do is find that back wall of our room. And what I'm going to do is measure, I'm using 1.5 inches, measure up from the side of the page or the drawing area, 1.5 inches, where that intersects with my X. Make a mark there. I'm going to do it on the next line, 1.5 inches up where they intersect, and that'll give me my first line, my bottom of the back wall. So I'll draw that. And then I'm going to find, actually I'll do it this way, I'm going to do 1.5 inches from the edge over where it intersects with my X. And so now I can do a straight line there. Same thing over here. Slide it till I get it to an inch and a half. And that should give me a nice mark where I can do a vertical line. That's parallel to my outer edges of my drawing area. And then my last line is going to be matching up those two verticals to a line that touches both of those. Okay, and then erase the X inside there, but leave the vanishing point because we're going to need that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and darken the corners of my ceiling and walls. Because those won't be changing. Okay, and I'm just kind of measuring the bottom of my drawing area into equal spaces. You can measure along the bottom, or you can measure along the bottom of the back wall and just kind of divide it up into equal spaces. Mine aren't exactly equal, but I'm getting as close as I can. I'm not going to use those yet, but I'm going to go ahead and mark them right now before I forget. And then I'll come back to them in a little bit. And I'm doing 1/2 inch intervals on mine. You can decide what to use on yours. It doesn't have to be 1/2 inch, but that seemed like the easiest for me. All right, now I'm going to do the door on the left side. So I'm just lining up with my vanishing point and picking the top edge of the door. And kind of randomly deciding how wide the door is going to be. I'm going to do a vertical. There's 1 inch, and my other vertical. Make sure those vertical lines are parallel to your back wall and the edge of your drawing surface. And then darken the top there, which should be a receding horizontal. See how it leads to your vanishing point there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do trim around the door by doing a vertical a little bit farther away. And then my top has to be a receding horizontal, so I've got to line up with that vanishing point from the top of that new line I drew. Okay, and then I'll pick a spot and do a vertical for the back trim. Okay. Draw a doorknob. Hang on a sec. Break my pencil. Okay, so there's my doorknob. And I'm going to go ahead and do the windows. Just going to choose where the bottom's going to be and where the top's going to be. You just have to make sure they're receding horizontals for the top and bottom. All your horizontals are going to be receding horizontals. Remember that in one point. Okay. And I just arbitrarily decided where my verticals were going to go. And then again, I'm going to put trim on my window. Hang on a sec. Okay, trim my window by just going up a little higher than the existing window. fighting a little with my pencil, so forgive me for the small breaks. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay. Now some windows have mullions in them. That's the strips of wood inside the window that separates it into different panes. If you want to do something like that, first you have to find the center of that window. And once again, we use an X to find the center. If you ever have an irregular shape like this, an X is the best way to find the center. You're doing perspective. Okay. So there's our center where it intersects. Okay, so we can do our vertical mullions by lining up the ruler with that center. Just doing a vertical line. You can make the line thicker or double it. I'm just going to do a straight line. And then your horizontal is going to be a receding horizontal. But it goes through that center base. And then you can erase the X that you drew as a guide. So then you have a window with panes. Okay. Last thing we're going to do is the flooring, and we're going to use those marks that I made before, that you made before hopefully, dividing up the space. We're going to draw receding horizontals along that floor area. And I'm not drawing all the way to my vanishing point, but if I did extend my line to the vanishing point, they would all match up there. But I'm just drawing the line, actually drawing it in the floor area to save erasing later. And notice that each one I draw, I take the time to line up the ruler with that vanishing point. That's really important. Always, always, your receding horizontals need to lead to the vanishing point. All right. Now we can turn these strips. If you were doing like a wood floor, you could stop there. But we're going to turn these into tiles. So we're going to do a diagonal line that goes from the upper right corner to the lower right corner of the flooring. And everywhere that that diagonal intersects a receding horizontal, that's where we're going to put a parallel line for our tiles. So just kind of work your way down each time that diagonal intersects your receding horizontal. That's where you place your next regular horizontal. All right, continue until you've done all of your tiles, and then you're finished. Like I said, if you want to send a picture for feedback or if you have questions, we're done with this lesson. Till next week, I hope you're healthy and safe and hope to see you real soon.